I go. The people really wanna know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me. If I said it once, no need to repeat. Run up on me, watch you fall to your knees. Tip my hat when it's time for the kill. Ain't no beast when you're really real. I am the boss, I am the Don. I am the one they call Lucky Charm. Got my own shit, I don't need your farm. Life was so hard, it made me weak. Built to last, this girl ain't weak. Sturdy and still when I plant my feet. Got it out the mud, now it's racks in my sleep. Look to God, he supplies my needs. Endless faith is what brought me next level prosperity. Silent power moves is what I'm giving. They love to hate the world they can't live in. Always present for the high roads. Go swim within the deep lows. What tells the future? Who knows? I don't do it for the likes, I do it for the love. Do it for the ones who really need a hug, cause they had it tough, never had enough. Feared, loved, and respected. Using words as a weapon. Test and she. Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room. Be enthused, but don't look too amused. This is her queendom, please respect her rule. Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room. Be enthused, but don't look too amused. This is her queendom, please respect her rule. Smile in my face, would in my place, but act gully on cyberspace. Let's pump brakes, let's be frank. Running after him when you're the chase. You are the catch and he's the net. How quickly do we all forget to honor these small policies, my darling? You are the empress queen. Man, respect or he'll neglect. You are the wind beneath his wings. You are the season, you are the reason why this world can breathe. Giving sons eyes to see and daughters dreams to believe. Anything less than the best for you is high treason, queen. Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room. Be enthused, but don't look too amused. This is her queendom, please respect her rule. Hurry up quick, El Jefe's coming soon. Sit up straight when she enters the room. Be enthused, but don't look too amused. This is her queendom.
Sound like Cinderella teens. You should see the things I feel inside these denim jeans. I can't associate with y'all, this shit like ketamine. Been on one, been on two, been on everything. Bitch, I'm with my gang, with my squad, what the fuck you want? Soapy rolling gas, I can't hang, bitch, I'm fucking gone. I got people down from the jump, better know your bonds. I got people just tuning in, and the love is strong. Damn, they gon' want a piece when you got it like that. Like Jake said, we gon' spend it, get it right back. Stack that internet money till the site crash. They on IG tryna get a like back. See, they don't talk that talk, they just type fast. Yeah, we real life, cool, it's really like that. I might roll an eighth inside a blunt, that's a nightcap. Like where my lighter at, boy, I got a flight to catch. Through these ups and these downs, with a guy and a dead thing changed. Don't forget where that sauce came from, best remember my name. You take L's every once in a while, gotta charge to the game. You gotta charge it to the game. Yeah, yeah. Through these ups and these downs, swear to God, ain't a dead thing changed. Don't forget where that sauce came from, best remember my name. Ooh. I'm just trying to make my bread and feed the fam. These fuckboys need to grow up like Peter Pan. Sometimes I get so high, I never land. Ain't no need to overthink it, I already understand. They be plotting on my downfall and need another plan. But we welcome all that hating, I'm like, thank you, come again. Made a stack off the game and gave 100 to my man. I don't owe no money to him, I just did it cause I can. Yeah, round shit, we ain't on no clown shit. You a product of the people that you stick around with. Don't get caught with the people I came up with. Charge a couple else in the game, but I still love it. I keep it low key in order to stay above it. I make it all out of nothing, yeah. Through these ups and these downs, with a guy and a dead thing change. Don't forget where that sauce came from, best remember my name. You take L's every once in a while, gotta charge to the game. You gotta charge it to the game. Yeah, yeah. Through these ups and these downs, with a guy and a dead thing change. Don't forget where that sauce came from, best remember my name. You take L's every once in a while, gotta charge to the game. You gotta charge it to the game. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gonna be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV, your favorite Sacramento Kings YouTube channel.
It's right. On today's show, we're breaking down another loss for the Kings, 103-117 to Cleveland. I know everybody wants to talk trades, so we're going to talk more trades. Let's get to it.
We're here, I'm drinking a beer, and we're talking about your Sacramento Kings. Oh, it really does help with these losses. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. There's also a little cowbell notification bell down there if you'd like to find out when Calvin and I put out a new video. This is your Sacramento Kings nightcap. So as Calvin mentioned in the intro, the Kings lost tonight, 103-117 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. A rough game. I wanted to turn it off at multiple points. Very, very frustrating. And just like how they always do, they give you a little bit of hope at the end there, and then they just rip your heart back out again. But, you know, we got an interesting first lineup with Marvin Bagley starting this season alongside Alex Len. When you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers starting lineup, it's crazy, man. They're almost starting 3 7-footers. One of those guys is 6'11", and then they got 2 guards in there. So it seems like they are trying to do the complete opposite of what the Kings are doing at this point. Calvin, what are your first thoughts on the game?
Well, my first thoughts on the game are, you know, much of the same of what we've seen. It was just very little defensive effort. You have to like the fight that the bench put forth there in the second half, but, I mean, they almost gave up 50 points in the second quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not going to win any game ever. I don't know what – you have no chance. You know, you can applaud them all you want for the effort that those reserves came in and played with in the third and early fourth quarter. You know, they went on that big run there at the end of the third and into the fourth to make it a game, got it under 10 points. But the bottom line is you can't put yourself in that big of a hole. It doesn't matter how great of a second half you play because you're going to end up coming up short like they did.
I thought the first quarter was bad. I'm like, 36 points? How are you going to give up 36 points and only score 23? And then they only scored 29 in the second, and they give up 45 points. That is crazy. That is so crazy. If you take that one quarter, Cavs are on track to score 180 points in this game.
Yeah, it was wild. And, I mean, the funny thing about it is their half-court defense wasn't great, but it was better than what it was just last night in Charlotte.
Yep.
What they really got destroyed with was transition points. I mean, the Cavs are not a team that they can get out and run. They have some really athletic big men, and they like to throw lobs and stuff like that. We saw Jared Allen handling the ball in the open court. You know, that's a scary sight to see. But this is a team, Cleveland's like in the middle of the pack in points per game. It's not like they score all the time and push the pace. But the Kings had 3 or 4 guys well below the free throw line on a lot of these plays, you know, when Fox or somebody is going to the basket and no effort to get back. And it just led to transition bucket after bucket after bucket, dunk, 3, over and over and over again.
Yep. The Cavs came into this game tonight winning 6 out of their last 8 games. Kings won 3 out of the last 4 after getting demolished last night. It was another no defensive effort for them tonight. You know, the Kings are ranked dead last at points in the paint defense. They allow 52.2 points in the paint per game. And then the Cavs throw out 3 7-footers. One of them that can actually shoot. And then 2 guys that just dominate inside. I don't know how many lobs I saw to Evan Mobley and Jared Allen inside. You know, the Kings really missed out on Richaun Holmes. And I don't even know if he would have made much of a difference in this game.
Probably not. I mean, we knew this was a very, very tough matchup for the Kings going into it. Their backs were against the wall from the beginning here, and there just wasn't. They just didn't have a good enough defensive game plan here. We'll talk about it a little bit later, and it relates to my keys going into next game because they really have to get back to the drawing board. Yep. I mean, they're so bad at defending the pick and roll, so bad at it.
Yep. Which is amazing because they have a pretty good pick and roll game themselves when Richaun Holmes and Tyrese
most NBA teams do now. I mean, that's, these guys are everything is predicated on how do I get my best ball handler with a little bit of space or my best creator, for an open shot or to break down the defense to open things up. And it's all about screens. I mean, there's very little true ISO basketball played on a lot of these teams. Certainly you have people like James Harden and guys like that. But, so many of these great guards, it's how can we put them in the pick and roll and make defenses have to choose how to defend them. It's a really difficult task.
It really is. And, the Kings were down 29 points at one point in this game. They tried to come back. They went on a 10-0 run in the third quarter, then late in the third and extending into the fourth, a 19-2 run. Damian Jones had some huge buckets late in the game, including an and one, bringing the Kings within 7 points, and then they just kind of fell apart there again at the end. But, Cal, you want to take a look here at the box score?
Yeah, let's do it. Not much to speak for the starters here. De'Aaron Fox, 13 points on 6 of 14 shooting, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. Harrison Barnes had 12 points and, again, didn't shoot incredibly well, 4 of 10 from the field with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Tyrese, he kind of evaporated there later in the game. A lot of these guys didn't play a ton of minutes in the second half anyway, but 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Off the bench, Buddy Hield leads all Kings scorers with 21 points, 7 of 13 from the floor, and 4 of 10 from 3. Davion Mitchell, 14 points, 5 assists. And Chimezie Metu in 16 minutes, 8 points, 1 rebound. The Cavs have 7 players scoring double figures in this game.
Yeah, the Kings went pretty deep into the bench in this game, and part of that is because they were down 29. Gentry threw out a weird bench lineup of like Mitchell, Jones, Hield, Davis, and they were able to make a little bit of a run there to come back. Yep. So that's why a lot of the starters didn't play huge minutes. I think 26 minutes for Tyrese Haliburton is the most by any starter on this Kings team. We did see Alex Len get in foul trouble again in this game, but I think he probably would have been pulled anyways. But Buddy Hield finally catching fire again. 21 points for Buddy Hield tonight. 4 3-pointers, made all of his free throws, shot above 50% from the field tonight, had a couple steals, no assists from him, 3 turnovers. How are you feeling about Buddy Hield?
I don't feel too much different about him. I mean, he had a good game. He finally was able to knock down some shots, and you knew that was going to happen at some point. It's not like the guy was never going to have a good shooting night ever again for the rest of his life. And they definitely needed somebody to score tonight, so it's a good thing that he did. But, that's not the reason they won or lost this game, his performance. So
Yep. Man, we got a ton of people here in the chat. Andrew, welcome. Makami, good to see you. Sean, T, Fred. Oh, dude, you got to tell me what your name is because you keep changing your name every time. Now it's Fire Monty if he doesn't make a move ASAP. Who else we got here? Kristen, good to see you, Kristen. Hopefully you're not getting in trouble at work again. Kristen misses Rashawn Holmes. I think we all do. Who else is in here? Brendan is here. Ramon, welcome, guys. Glad to have you all here. Cameron, the baby daddy, Patrick, man, Buddha. Good to see you guys all here in the chat. It's tough doing these after a loss, but having you guys in there cheering us up, makes it a lot easier. And hopefully we are here to cheer you guys up as well, because I almost turned the game off. I was almost like, you know what? Caddyshack's on TV. I'm just going to watch Caddyshack. It's funny. I was watching a little bit earlier today. I'm like, wow, I've seen this movie like 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. Every time it's on TV, I'm like, oh, Caddyshack. I'll watch it. Might as well. Kristen says, I like Jones a lot.
yeah, I like Jones too. I mean, I think you could probably try to look to give him some more minutes.
Only 2 shots tonight, but 8 big boards and a lot of hustle plays.
Yeah.
A lot of hustle plays.
And we just talked about how bad the Kings are at defending the pick and roll. He is a big man that can actually get out and move his feet a little bit, so that would help in defending the pick and roll.
Yeah, and a block and a steal for him tonight as well. You want to talk about your keys to the game? Calvin lost his keys, I think. Couldn't find them, lost them at a party. Kings didn't know. We lose.
So we knew points were going to be at a premium in this game. So my keys to the game were centered around scoring. Number 1 was transition points. They got smoked in fast break points by the Cavs 22-8. Points in the paint. They actually won this category 64-52. And then my third point is bench points, which they also won 58-44. And part of that is probably just because the bench got so many minutes.
Yeah, and we're going to, in the third section of the show, we're going to release Cal's keys to the next game against the Toronto Raptors. There's only 2. I bet you can probably guess what they are. It's something the Kings have been missing in the past.
We are going back to the drawing board,
2
folks.
games. But I got a poll in the chat for you guys. Hopefully you all can contribute and let us know how you feel. Basically, what should the Kings do at this point? Stay the course, blow it up, add some pieces, trade everyone not named Fox and Haliburton. You could throw Rashawn in there, you could throw Davion in there, but it only allows me a certain amount of space. I can't fit all those guys in there. But it's tough, man. I do have to say, at halftime, I was feeling blow it up. I was just like, man, I'm so emotional right now. I know that it's only one bad game, and yesterday was a bad game as well. And, it's still kind of early in the season. If the Kings go on a 6-game win streak right now, I'll feel a little bit different. They just went on a 3-game win streak. It makes me feel like it is a little possible. But then I look at the schedule here. Raptors, Wizards, Grizzlies, Spurs. Then you got the Warriors, the Clippers, Grizzlies again. Back-to-back against the Mavericks. Man, there is a lot of tough games. There's still plenty of games to go. The Kings have a chance. I just think that chance is shrinking a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing the Kings have going for them right now is that the Western Conference is kind of a mess. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, below the top 3 seeds, everybody is hovering somewhere close to 500 or a little above or a little below. So that's the only thing they have going for them, is they're like 3 or 4 games out of being in the mix of that 6 through 4 seed. But the problem is you have to string together a bunch of really, really good wins in a row.
Yep.
And we just haven't seen the Kings do that yet.
Andrew says, hey, Royal, do you know my cousin Frank? He has a bike shop in Kihei.
No, I don't personally. Do you?
I don't make it to Kihei very often, to be honest with you. I used to go there.
We're West Side.
Yeah, we're like Lahaina, Kaanapali area. I used to work at a brewery, and I used to go to Kihei Wailea like once a week to deliver beer, but I don't do that anymore, so we just kind of stick here to the West Side. But maybe we can introduce ourselves to him sometime. We got a roommate who loves bikes.
That is very true.
I still need to figure out.
And a producer that loves bikes.
Oh, yes. I forgot about Vinny, dude. Vinny is a bike fanatic. He is a bike fanatic. In the second part of the show, we're gonna have a special guest. We got Skip from Sacktown Breakdown's going to join us. We're going to talk about trades. I'm going to fire up the trade machine. It's going to be a lot of fun. But, Cal, you want to talk about team stats on this game? Was anything that popped out to you, or you want to move on here?
The most glaring, we kind of touched on it already. There wasn't really, the Kings didn't get out-rebounded. They actually out-rebounded the Cavs by 1. They shot terribly from the free throw line. That's something that I noticed early on in the game, and it's a little troublesome. Even guys like Harrison Barnes are missing shots. The threes were terrible. The Kings shot 25%. But fast break points is really what I thought was the difference in this game. That's in that second quarter when the Cavs put up 45 points and they built that 27-point lead or 20-plus point lead. That's how they did it. The Kings were missing shots, whether they were close to the basket or not, and the Cavs were firing down court while there were still 3 or 4 Kings players below the free throw line on the other end. Yep. 22 fast break points to just 8 for the Kings. So that to me was the biggest difference in this game.
Let's talk a little bit about...
Even though there were other big differences, but that was the biggest difference.
Yeah. I think we can pretty much throw these team stats away. I kind of want to cruise past this section because I'm still hurting a little bit in this area from this game. But let's talk about a couple players real quick before we move on. First one I want to talk about, you mentioned Harrison Barnes. This is his third game back since injury. He hasn't scored over 16 points in a game since that injury. 12 points tonight, 4 of 10 from the field. Didn't make a three-pointer. What did you like? What did you dislike from HB tonight?
Well, I didn't like much, honestly. He still has the part of his game where he tries to get to the basket. I feel like the last 2 games he has done that a lot, and I've seen him looking around for a foul more than I can ever remember seeing him do that. So that's troubling to me. He's just struggling offensively. I'm not sure really what it is. Maybe he's still not 100% healthy. Maybe he hasn't worked himself back into game shape. But he is not playing like the same Harrison Barnes that started the season or finished last season, and it's concerning.
Yeah, it really is. He's a different Harrison Barnes. Do you think he's going to maybe grow out the beard this season?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. It's not like it's going to help get his game back. He needs to just continue to get in the lab and work. So
I do have to say, though, that has got to be the worst timing ever, right? For I'm going to grow my beard out. I'm not shaving until we make it to 500 and the NBA gets shut down for 6 months, dude. That's crazy. Tough. That is really crazy. All right, so we talked a little bit about Bagley, but not too much. First start for him, 22 minutes. I think this is probably one of the worst games I've seen from him. 7-7 tonight, 30% from the field, didn't make a 3. He had a nice block in the game, but offensively, he didn't have it tonight.
No, he didn't. I liked his energy going for offensive rebounds. He was all over the glass. And when your shot's not falling, as a big man, that's one of the things that you can still control is your effort rebounding. It's no surprise to me that he got the start, given that they were playing the tallest team in history and all that. And so
their small forward is 7 feet tall. Crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's really, really nuts. I certainly wasn't surprised to see him start, and I will not be surprised to see him come off the bench against Toronto or later on after that. I felt like this was a matchup dependent sort of a thing, and it was a good opportunity for him. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to really get things going offensively. hard for all the big men tonight with all those shot blockers in the lane. You know, really the only way that anybody was going to get a good look off was going to be from a guard penetrating and dishing it to them for a lob or for an easy shot inside.
Yeah, I agree. And it's weird. You look at Tristan Thompson tonight, only 9 minutes. He had 1 point, 4 rebounds. Like you said, this is not a game to post up your big man inside and let him work down below. And then you look at Terence Davis, who's been playing great. He had 28 points a couple games ago. He's been starting. He came off the bench. He only had 18 minutes tonight. 9 points. Didn't seem to be much of a factor.
Yeah, there really weren't many players that I considered to be much of a factor. You know, the only guy that I watched in this game and felt like he was really making a really positive impact on the game was Davion Mitchell, because he was the only guy that I saw playing both ends of the court. I mean, that sequence where he gets Darius Garland to get flagged for an offensive foul that was sweet to watch, man. That was really, really awesome.
Yeah, let's talk about Davion. So I watched his post-game presser. He basically says, I got to be better. He didn't put it on anybody else. He didn't put it on the team. He said, I got to be better. I got to step up. I got to play better defense. I got to play more consistent defense. He's saying all the right things. I love to hear that.
And he always will. That's just the type of person that he is.
Yeah. And I think a lot of Kings fans, you know, recently have felt like, you know, early on it was like, okay, well, at least we hit on a draft pick this year. We got another good guy at 9. And then, you know, he doesn't always have the numbers to back up that selection, even though he does a lot of other things on the court that don't show up on the stat sheet. But I feel like a lot of fans are kind of like waning on him. Like, okay, well, maybe, you know, you look at a guy like Jared Allen, you look at some of these other rookies, or no, sorry, not Jared Allen. Who am I talking about? Evan Mobley. You look at some of these other rookies, they're playing really well. They're scoring a lot. You know, there's a lot of hype around them. The hype on Davion Mitchell has fallen off as of lately. So it's good to see him finally get it a little bit back offensively. 14 points for him tonight. He hit 2 threes, 6 of 12 from the field. And like you said, awesome defense. So very, very happy to see that.
I just want to say the hype for him coming from me has not fallen off at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sticking with this guy through his shooting struggles. He's been scoring much more consistently the past couple of weeks. I knew that his shot was eventually going to start falling. You know, he's very efficient with the ball. The last few games, he's had 4 or 5 assists and very few turnovers. I think he's starting to figure out how to be more aggressive and get to the basket as well. And then, yeah, I mean, he brings it defensively every single night. So there is so much to like about a guy like Davion Mitchell, despite the fact that he's undersized and people think that people say he doesn't, or he shoots too much, he doesn't pass, he's not a good enough shooter, all this stuff. This dude's going to succeed in the NBA. I don't know if it's going to be with Sacramento or not, but I would bet on Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, I think I would too. You know who played really good defense tonight? Isaac Okoro.
And that's what he's known for.
He's been killing it. And he led Cavs in scoring.
And he scored 20 points. Yeah.
So when you have a versatile wing defender like that and some big bodies inside that can protect the rim, there's no wonder why the Cavs are above 500 and looking like a potential playoff team. So,
and they're so young. I mean, they're going to be good for a while if they can keep this core together.
Yeah, we got to see Kevin Love tonight. Only 14 minutes for him. He is making a ton of money still on the Cavs.
Yeah.
I see him with his gray hair celebrating on the sidelines.
Yep.
Do you think he'll end up, getting bought out or moving on to a playoff contender or something like that? Not that the Cavs aren't. Obviously they're a young team. They're rebuilding. They're looking good, but I don't expect them to make it past the second round of the playoffs.
I don't either. Although I really am not sure. I mean, it depends on who they get matched up with in the playoffs, because this is a team that can give any team in the league fits due to their versatility, their size, their defense. And, Darius Garland is just – he's so smooth. He's really a sweet, sweet point guard.
Yep.
And so I think they will probably end up holding on to Kevin Love. I think they like his veteran leadership off the bench, a guy for these young guys to kind of, gel with and learn from. And I don't know. I don't have his stats here. I don't know what he's averaging, but he still seems to come in and score, in double figures pretty regularly for them off the bench. So, and they don't have a ton of scoring options coming off that bench either. So I think they probably will stick it out with him because they're starting to trend towards looking like a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about Laurie Markanin in the last podcast. Maybe he's available, maybe he's not. Played 26 minutes tonight. Only 3 points for him. He didn't hit a single three. Yeah. He had, I think, a layup and a free throw. But he did a lot of other things. A couple assists, couple steals, couple rebounds. Not a good showcase for the Kings to go after this guy. But he's a big guy. He's huge. You look at this starting lineup, it's crazy thinking that you're playing against 3 7-footers. We all talk about the Lakers and how big that team is. But they're not starting 3 7-footers. And I don't care what you say. 6'11" is 7 feet to me.
It might as well be.
It is a big difference. Do you think the Cavs are missing out on anything not having Colin Sexton out there? Because they seem to be playing great.
They are playing great. They have to be missing something, though. Colin Sexton is a tremendous, tremendous player. Two-way player. I mean, the guy was averaging 25 a game for the majority of the year last year. So, of course, you're going to miss something with him not playing. But they hit big time with Evan Mobley and getting Laurie Markanin in there as well. This group is really working very well together. So,
yeah, we also saw Rubio out there playing pretty well. We saw Chetty Osman hitting a couple threes.
Man, more than a couple.
Big play for him, man. I was questionable about that guy. When LeBron was on the Cavs, I'm like, who is this guy and why is he getting playing time? But everyone talked about how hard he worked in practice and everything else, so it's good to see him.
He's really in a great role for this team right now. I never really felt like he should have been a starter in general. They just didn't really have any other options at that point. But him coming off the bench, he's what everybody that all Kings fans want Buddy Hield to be. He's the guy that's just going to come in, cherry pick, get himself open, and hit those threes. That's what they want Buddy Hield to do.
Yeah, and be consistent.
Yes.
Be consistent. Well, I think there's one guy that we haven't talked about yet, and then we're going to move on, and that's De'Aaron Fox. I see here in the chat, I don't know about Fox anymore. What's up, Richard? Good to see you here on the show. I don't know about Fox anymore. He is a good player, but man, no time for improvement anymore. I mean, there is time for improvement. You have to make time, otherwise you're not going to get better.
The problem with that statement is he's 23 years old. So if there's no time for improvement, you don't. I understand trading somebody if you're not happy with their play, but when you have a young, talented player that's 23 years old, you have to, no matter how good they are, you have to expect that they're still going to get better because they aren't even in their prime yet. So,
but 13 points and 1 assist is not going to cut it.
It's not going to cut it. And again, the starters, they were benched for a good portion of that second half. So their stats are going to reflect the fact that they just didn't get the normal minutes.
Yeah.
He got off to a really, really good start. I mean, he had 11 points there midway through the second quarter or something like that. Then he doesn't play for most of the second half. I liked what I saw from him offensively. He was aggressive. He didn't convert on a ton of those trips inside, but I kind of expected that coming in here because he was going to have to go up against all these 7-footers, and he didn't get a lot of foul calls either.
Yep.
Only one
shot at the free throw line.
I didn't like what I saw from him defensively. I felt like it was, again, this laziness. I see him consistently try to reach, whether it's around to get that back tap steal or to reach, relying on his quickness in the wrong way instead of trying to move his feet. Watching him and Davion Mitchell play defense, it's like night and day difference. Davion Mitchell, his whole goal is how do I stay in front of the guy I'm guarding, which is how you're supposed to play defense, especially as a guard. And Fox he just seems more to me of like,
I got to get this steal.
When is it? I'm looking for that one moment where I can reach in and poke the ball loose.
Yeah.
And that's even if you have 4 steals like you did yesterday, that doesn't mean you're playing good defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look the same on a stat sheet, but a bad shot or a contested shot and a steal is pretty much the same thing as long as you can secure the rebound. Yeah. And that's what I love about Davion Mitchell is the fact that Davion doesn't care about how many steals he has in a game.
Right.
He just wants his team to get the ball back.
Right.
And, yeah, you got to keep your man in front of you.
And when, for me, I loved playing defense. I loved the feeling that you got of completely shutting somebody down. I'd have games where I would only score like 6 or 7 points, but if I held my opponent or the guy that I was guarding all night to 2, 4 or 6 points, something like that, I was fired up. And so that I get that feeling watching Davion play. It's like, to me, ripping the ball out of somebody's hands is great and taking it the other way. But if I can play 10 solid seconds of defense and a guy cannot get by me, I'm in his head for the rest of the game.
You're a much different person on the basketball court than you are in real life. You're a nice guy, Cal, but out there you just want to shut people down and make them feel bad.
That's what you have to have. You have to have that killer instinct, that mentality. That's what we've talked about with Fox is something that we don't see all the time. That's missing.
That's
you don't
true.
see that Michael Jordan or Kobe-esque, like, not everybody is going to be on that level, but you don't see that kind of, I don't care what you do or
it's
how good you
male.
are, I'm stopping you right now.
Yeah, it's the alpha male.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the alpha male, and I don't care what you do, how good you are at something, I'm going to do it better.
Yes.
And I'm going to do it more consistently than you. Last thing I want to say, 8 assists from the starters tonight combined.
Yeah.
Not going to win a lot of games that way.
Not good.
You
and
are
17
not.
turnovers for the team.
Yeah, not going to win a lot of games there. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the Kings. We're going to fire up the trade machine. We're going to have Skip from Sacktown Breakdown here on our next section called Around the Crown.